Welcome back to the test kitchen, everybody. So today, this video is kind of like a rite of passage. There's a ton of these steak videos on YouTube, kind of like these. And pretty much every steak is kind of the same. The ingredients are basically, you got a steak, which today we're gonna do a ribeye. You have garlic, some form of fat in the form of oil or butter, and you have some kind of herb, typically thyme or rosemary, and a specific type of cooking technique in a cast iron pan. So we're kind of just gonna follow everybody's general rules and see if this is actually the right way to cook a steak or not. So let's give it a shot.
So we're gonna start by pulling our steak out of the fridge. Now, you don't wanna cook this right away. You wanna let it rest. Give it a little nap time, a little nappy poo, okay? Let it come closer to room temperature before we go to actually start cooking this thing. Next, you're gonna go ahead and season it with salt and pepper. You wanna give it a thorough coating of both all over your steak, both sides, the top, the bottom, both sides of each end. You want to make sure you cover this very evenly and pretty heavily with salt and pepper. You don't want to miss any spots. This is where most of your seasoning is coming from, along with the fat that it's already built into the steak. Make sure that when you're done, I even take the steak, as you can see here, and I like to tap it and get every little bit of seasoning that I can onto my steak. Once you have completed seasoning your steak, we are going to move on to getting our pan ready. You want to put about a tablespoon and a half of oil in your pan, and you want to get this really hot, like really hot. We're trying to get a really nice sear on this steak, so you're thinking medium to high heat here. Once you have your oil nice and hot, we'll go ahead and lay our steak in away from us for safety. That way we don't burn ourselves by throwing oil at us. And just let this go. You don't want to mess with it too much. If anything, you're going to go ahead and push on your steak like you can see here. What this does, it creates more contact with the surface of the pan, thus creating a lot more even crust. Once we have our nice, beautiful crust, we're going to flip that over, lay it in our pan, and we will go ahead and get our 4 tablespoons of butter thrown into our pan. We're going to throw in our 2 garlic cloves. I have 3 here because one of them was really small, so I just tossed it in with it. And a bundle of thyme. Once all those are in there, you're going to wait for your butter to melt all the way, and that is when you are going to start basting. And you're not going to stop basting. You're just going to keep basting. Now, there's a trick in the restaurant industry that tells you when your steak is actually done without actually cutting into it. When that's with using your hand, as you can see here. That is raw. That is medium rare. That is medium. That is medium well. And that is you fucked up and cooked way too long. Now that we've cooked our steak to medium, which is what my cameraman had wanted for some reason, I don't know why, he likes his steaks medium, we're going to go ahead and take our steak and sear off all of our edges. We want to make sure we get a nice crust on every edge, just like we have on the 2 flat ends. Once we have our nice crust there, we're going to go ahead and plop our steak onto our cupboard. You're not going to cut into this right away, okay? You're just going to let this sit for about 5 minutes or so, because we want to let those muscle fibers relax and release all those juices, because it's real nice and tense right when you take it out of the pan. So now that it's rested, we'll go ahead and cut into it. You'll slice your steak across into even slices. And then once you have your steak all nice and cut up into all these slices, you're going to take your pan that has all those nice butter juices in there, and you're going to pour that right over top of your steak. Really incorporate all that seasoning to make it all nice and juicy. And there's your steak.
Okay, so here we are. I've cooked this medium, okay? Because that's what the cameraman wanted. He ordered medium, so we went for a medium cook. Do not butcher me in the comments saying it's not right because it's not medium rare. I'm with all of you. Every steak should be medium rare in my opinion as well. I'm just cooking to order, okay? This is his steak, so I made it medium. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. We'll go ahead and give it a taste here, which, I mean, it's steak, so. Oh. So good. So, the other thing I love about cooking steaks, especially at home, when you get these little pieces of garlic, these are just little treats. I definitely go for this. That was a little crunchy. Anyway, this is so good compared to like a steakhouse, right? Because this cost us $30 to put together, and it took about 25-ish minutes to get it done. If you're going to a steakhouse to get something like this, with this size of a steak, this ribeye, you're probably paying somewhere between the wheelhouse of $60 to $80. Not to mention, you're getting drinks, you gotta pay for the gas to get to and from the restaurant. So a $30 steak that would cost you $80 at the restaurant to get, definitely obviously well worth it to do this at home, especially since it only took 25 minutes. It'll take you that much time just to get the table at the restaurant. Now the most important thing you need to remember too is the technique. The technique is everything with this. You can easily screw up a steak by overcooking it or undercooking it, or not controlling your temperatures very well. So as long as you know your technique and you know what you're doing, this is hands down gonna be way better at home than you're ever gonna find in a restaurant. And one of my biggest pet peeves with steak restaurants is they don't typically hit the temp or your cook level the way you want it consistently. Because in all defense, they have like 30 or so steaks on their grill. It's hard to keep track of all that. So it's very easy to overcook your steak because they just mistrack what timing is on all their steaks. So if you can do this at home and you know the technique, this is gonna be way better, more bang for your buck. So definitely do this one at home. It's definitely worth it. So like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.